Hello, this is going to be a video, hopefully somewhat quick, on how to use the PYRO3GUN mag coupler for the Genesis Arms magazines so you can assemble either 15 or 20 round magazines. This is the kit that you'll receive. Inside of it is a card. It'll tell you whether it's a 15 or 20 round kit. It's got my phone number, email address, my Instagram. In the kit, you will have a mag coupler. This one is for a 20 rounder because of the slot down the center. This one here is for a 15 round mag. The slot is located offset from center. This is your mag block. Note this silver X on the one end. There'll be an Allen key in here for little screws that it's assembled with. There's a binding bolt, and there's a 632 screw with a nut. In this kit, you will find a written instruction sheet, 2 sides. Read through it, kind of go through it, see what you're doing before you attempt to do this. Okay, so step 1 is to disassemble both magazines. So as you see here, I have a 5 round spring, I have a 10 round spring, I have an additional 10 round spring because I'm going to show you how to do a 15 round mag and a 20 round mag. You have 2 followers, you have 2 4 plates, you've got the various mag bodies, 5 round, 10 round, 10 round. What you're going to do is, one of these followers you will not need, so you will put this away for a spare for another time. You will need both 4 plates for the building of these magazines, but at the end, one of these will also be a spare. Continuing on step 1, there are some notes on the instructions. The 15 round mag conversion, you will leave this 4 plate lock attached to the 5 round spring. On the 10 round spring, you will remove the 4 plate lock so you have just a spring. In the case of the 20 round conversion, you will remove the 4 plate lock from one 10 round spring, and you will keep the 4 plate lock on the other 10 round spring. This 4 plate lock essentially rides between the 2 springs, making it one giant spring once you have the longer magazines converted and made. Moving on to step 2, you'll notice on the magazines there is a shell retainer tabs on both sides. You're going to either cut or sand. You can use a miter box, a bandsaw, a table saw, a sanding wheel, whatever you want to remove these feed lips and these tabs basically down to this point right here of the bottom of these slots. So here are 2 that are already done, the 5 rounder and the 10 rounder. They've been removed down to that point. After you are done with that, you can take a sanding block or a file and break off all these edges, kind of clean these up inside, and maybe put just a little slight bevel on these. This will aid in putting the 4 plate on later. Moving on to step 3, the bottoms of these magazines, when they are molded, they may have a little bit of a raised spot on them. You can take your same sanding block and just make a few passes over these just to clean these up, or you can use a file. Same thing with the 5 rounders. Just give a little quick sand or file over them just to clean up anything that might be sticking up, so when you put these 2 magazines, when you put the magazines together, they sit nice and flush. Step 4. This is only for the 10 round magazines. If you are going to make a 20 round magazine, you want to go on the inside edge of these with a file or a knife with a blade, and just scrape along this edge. I'm going to clean these up just a little bit, just to make sure that they have no edges that the follower can get caught on. Do that to both of the 10 round mags, the one that you cut the feed lips off of and the one that is uncut. So again, when these go together, the internal area doesn't have any lips or edges for the spring retainer, the lock plate, to go through. Okay, moving on to step 5. You're going to take the magazine that you cut the feed lips off of. You're going to grab the mag block that's in the kit. There's a silver X on the back of the mag block. So you have the back of the magazine with this rib running down it. You're going to place this inside the end that you cut off with the X to the back and just set this down inside. Next, you're going to install the 4-plate, noting the orientation of this tab matches the design of the magazine, shape of the magazine. And you're going to slide that onto the magazine block, making sure all this stuff is pushed down good together. You're going to take some tape and you can put it over this mag body to hold this plate in place later for drilling. I like to use a set of calipers and put it at 0.3 inches, and these tabs that stick out here for measuring internal dimensions. I like to just take this and rub it along the edge of the 4-plate and on the mag body here, and it'll make a faint line in the plastic there. Next, unlock this, move this all the way up to 1.3, lock this again, and from the front of the mag body, I use the other side of the calipers, and I just hook this over the front edge a little bit and do the same thing. Just give this a little back and forth motion here. And I'm not sure if you can see those lines there, but now I have kind of an X in there. In the center of that is where you will drill a 1/4 inch hole, preferably using a drill press to make sure it goes through square. One other note when you do this extra 4-plate that I told you to keep aside, if you put that on the other end of the magazine, now your magazine has the same height here. So if you lay it on a table on a drill press, this will at least be level. As long as your table on your drill press is level, then you can drill a 1/4 inch hole through there. Just go easy because it's plastic, and go all the way through that. So after you drill that 1/4 inch hole through here, which I have not done, there's a 1/4 inch binding bolt in the kit. You'll take that bolt, you'll slide it through, put the screw on the other side, just make sure everything fits good. This is what it should look like on one that I already have done. And then you can take this apart, remove that, take your tape off, or however you did this, and remove this whole block with the 4-plate, and go ahead and clean up if there's any burrs inside that plate or on the mag body or inside here. Take a little piece of sandpaper or something, clean up any of those burrs from the hole. Step 6. In the kit, there was a 632 screw with a nylock nut. Grab your 4-plate with the mag block. You'll notice there is a hole drilled through here. This 632 screw will go through this hole, and then on the inside you can back it up with this nut. And essentially what that does is it looks like this, and that keeps your 4-plate from sliding off of the magazine block, and you will never have to take this apart. This is just to put on there so you have more protection if it gets dropped, and has nothing to do with the removal of this later. If you need to clean the magazine, that'll be done with the binding bolt. You'll remove that, and then you can pull this whole block out to remove your springs to do any cleaning. Okay, moving on to step 7. You will need the pre-assembled mag coupler from the kit. This one here, as I mentioned before, the slot is not centered in the plate. This is for building a 15 round mag, whereas this other one with the slot down the center is for building a 20. We are going to first discuss building a 15 round magazine. With this coupler, you're going to want to remove the screws from the side that does not have these black washers in it, or else you're going to end up with a whole bunch of pieces and parts that you don't want to deal with. So remove these screws. There's 4 of them. And you will notice on these plates there is an arrow on both sides. This arrow needs to be on the outside of the magazine, which they already are the way they're assembled, and the arrow needs to be at the rear of the mags. So I have magazines here, here's the rear, and here's the top. This coupler will end up on these magazines like this, with the arrow pointing to the top, arrow to the back of the mag. Once you have these disassembled, you're going to just set these aside for right now with the screws, and we will come back to them after another step here. Okay, step 8. This is the 15 round magazine step. Inside these 5 round magazines, they're a little trickier to get these to work because the design on the 5 round mags has these ribs in here. These ribs stick out farther than the inside of what this 10 round magazine has. So when you try to put the follower down through there, it's gonna catch on these. Since these, as you can tell, are two different designs, future generations of these 5 round magazines will look like these, and they also have a 7 round magazine for the future that'll be coming out that'll have the same exact design as the 10 round mags. So these ribs here, you can pre-assemble this if you want, or kind of eyeball this and look down through the inside, but you're going to have to file these ribs in here, just a gradual angle, not a steep one. You know, keep the file almost flat going in the magazine. You're going to have to take off some of that, and then this double rib on the back of the magazine, this one's the worst one. This is going to have to take a little more, all the way across. You're going to have to file these down, put an angle on them, and do a little bit, and then move on to the rest of step 8, and then I will discuss more here. Okay, so continuing on step 8, you're going to take your coupler here, you're going to put this on this one, set this one on here. This plate, this gets a little tricky. This plate sits over both of those lips on the magazine where the floor plate would go, and then you're going to take this other plate with the arrow to the back, slide it on there, and that looks like it all fits nice. You're going to put your screws in here. You might have to push on these little round standoffs a little bit. You could loosen the screws on the other side, and you're going to want to assemble this whole magazine completely, snug up the screws, and then you're going to want to look down inside from both ends and see if you filed off enough. Then if you think you have, you can take a follower and put in from the bottom of the 5 round magazine, and you can drop this thing through, and you can see if it makes it down to the bottom or if it gets hung up. And you might have to take this apart again and do some more filing and cleaning up. Just as a note, I built one of these in like 15 minutes one time, and the next one I built took me 2 hours because I had a little burr inside that I could not see, and I eventually forced the follower down through by loading the magazine, and it self-clearanced itself, and the magazine works 100% now and has had no issues. So once you have this magazine assembled with your plates on here and everything's good to go, get your screws and stuff in here, you will put your follower in. You will then take your 10 round spring that does not have the 4-plate lock on it. You'll put that into the magazine. You will then take your 5 round spring that has the 4-plate lock on it. Notice the orientation of the tab in the back. You will put that into the mag body, and then you'll push all these springs down inside together. And once you have all those springs in there, you will take your completed mag block 4-plate assembly. You'll push that in there, and then you will put your binding bolt through here, and now your magazine is assembled, and it'll look like this one when you're done. Okay, moving on to step 9. This is for the 20 round magazines. These go together a lot easier without a lot less issues and problems because of the fact that they're the same design on both magazines. So I already have the 20 round coupler plate here. Got the 2 magazines, the one for the top, the one for the bottom. We get our arrow here, which will be up and to the back of the magazine. We'll lay these 2 in here together. That fits in there nice. We have our other plate. Slide that on, start on the edge there, and then it'll slide right on and fit in there. We'll go ahead and put our 4 screws in here, snug those down. Once you have those done, you will grab your follower and you will put this follower in. Then you will grab your 10 round spring that has the lock plate on it, and you'll put the spring in, and then you'll have the lock plate here will go in. Then you will grab your other 10 round spring that has nothing on the ends. You'll put that spring in here, and take note, once that first spring is in here, it does not give very much when you try to attempt to put the second spring in. So you're gonna end up with a whole bunch of spring in a small area when you put that second spring in there. Once you get that second spring in there, you will grab your floor plate and your mag block assembly. Make sure you got it orientated the right way. You'll put that in the magazine, in the mag body here. Line up your hole here. Grab your binding bolt, put that through, snug it up, and your magazine will be complete. And you will have a great big 20 round magazine that looks like this. This one I have a belt clip on. Here's your binding bolt, 4-plate, all done and complete. Okay, last step is step 10. Load the magazines a few times, unload them, make sure things are moving freely. If they aren't, take them apart, look to see if you have some burrs or something, and after that, and you think things are good, load them up, head to the range, test fire them, see if they work. They should, and enjoy. anyhow, thanks again for purchasing these kits, and any questions or comments or problems, reach out to me on email or my Instagram, which is on this card, or my phone number is on there. Text me first, and then I can reach back out to you, either text or call you to discuss any problems you may be encountering. Thanks, and have a great day. Okay, here's some additional notes. Shotgun shells. I feel like the ones that have the ribbed lines running down the hull versus a smooth shell, particularly in the 20-round magazines, you can tell when you load it, there's a little bit of increased drag with the holes that are smooth. The 15-round and obviously the 10-round, 5-round, or even a 10-round with a Taylor Freelance +2 extension doesn't seem to really matter. Just the 20s have a lot of friction in them because of the design of the magazine, and there's not a lot of space, and you put 20 shells in there and they're all trying to ride up through that magazine together. I feel like this gives it a little bit of airspace on there, and they move just a little bit freer. But I have shot both and they work. I just feel like it's a little sluggish with the smooth hull. On these couplers, I have not run any thread locker on any of these screws so far, and I just checked the mags that I've been running, probably have 1,000 rounds combined between them, and then a road trip to New Mexico and some other traveling in a hard case in the bed of my truck, and these screws have not loosened. That doesn't mean don't put thread locker on them, but I'm just telling you, I have not put any on there, but you can if you want. And finally, I made some wood blocks here. Might be overkill, but I have these 2 blocks basically that I can lay. Sorry about this, I have to assemble this here. I can lay these magazines the same way I said I would. You could lay them on a drill press to drill that hole. I made this block of wood to basically hold them in, that you could either clamp them in a drill press or just gives you something else to hold on to, and then it gives you a piece of wood underneath that you can drill into when you drill through it. So I made one of these for a 10-rounder, and I have the same thing for the 5-round magazine. And then another set of some boards I came up with. This is just a piece of about 1/8 inch thick leather. It could be a piece of plastic or anything, but you need it to keep the magazine level. What I did here was made a plate that apparently doesn't fit. You know why. So an uncut mag body, I put the floor plate on it. It sits in here. That piece of leather sits up here. Makes this level. I actually built this to fit my table saw, one of the channels that's cut across it, so I can lay this in my table saw and basically run this right across, take these feed lips right off, and it makes it easy. But like I said, there's multiple ways. You can use a bandsaw, you can use a sanding wheel and just grind these things down, you know, sand these things down to that point. A miter box, I'd use that on the first couple that I made and it worked all right. It's a little slow cutting, but it got the job done.